Hi, Beverlee.
Hello, hi.
Hello.
Maybe some trouble with some technology there.
Yeah, it's just some channel was blocked, but finally it's opened.
Exactly, that's how it goes.
I'm so happy to see you.
Me too, hi. Me too. We'll see what we make. So is everybody, so all these people are online that, you know, some people were saying on Telegram that they couldn't get on. And I said, don't worry, because I can't get on either. So not missing anything so far.
Great to see you. Okay, guys, I see you. Welcome, everyone. Please turn on your cameras and your microphones. Hi, Gabriela. Hi, Stella. Hi, Nancy. Welcome, everyone. Stella Bess, welcome.
Thank you. Greetings, Beverlee.
Yes, big greetings, sweetheart. I'm about to put out something. Stella was in my group last CM, the first CM course that we did. And
CM 2020.
Yes, and I'm going to put out a thing for us all to meet again. So hopefully you will be part of that. Hi, everyone. It's see some of you that I haven't had any contact with yet.
Okay, I'm admitting more our participants.
Yes.
So exciting. Welcome, Suzanne. Welcome, Elena.
Welcome, everyone.
Welcome, everyone.
Let's see your faces. Hi.
Hi.
I guess I should turn off my ringer, don't you think?
Wow, look how many interesting people we'll have. It's just amazing. Okay, guys, we have a really exciting adventure in front of us.
From the what?
From you, Beverlee. We have very exciting adventure in the next hour ahead of us.
I'm looking forward to it for sure. That ringer that you just heard is a song that's I'm forgetting his name. Andy Hammer, that says "Good to be alive right about now," and it's something. I'll just tell this story while we're waiting for other people to join, and then you tell me when we're going to start. That I was doing work with Stephen in front of the group at one time. I was the client, and I said, oh, he said, like, what are some resources? And I said, oh, when I hear this song, "Good to be alive right about now." And somebody was curious about it in the group, and they searched for it and they played it. And Stephen at first was like, who's playing their music in the middle of my work? And then he saw, like, I was like moving, and he was like, more, play it more. So now my ringer, and it's something that's such a wonderful, resourceful music for me. Something like I was dead in the water, no one wanted me, and now it's good to be alive. It's just a very positive,
great
positive, creative mind song.
I'm very happy to see our viewers and our participants who are with us online. So I'm sending you a big card. Welcome, everyone, and I'm sure you're here because you're as well interested as I am in the personality of Beverlee Hockenstein. Because I just gathered people, and you are our beautiful viewers and interesting souls, and to Beverlee personality, because from the very first moment when I saw her, and we already started our story, I was interested in her communication. I mean, you know me a little bit, or some of you, you know me well, and I'm interested in practice, and I would love, my passion is to get you acquainted with people who would bring through all their lives the principles, and also not only the principles but the stories of creative mind, of generative trance, of Ericksonian hypnosis, which is with utilization, which bringing something to the world, which you are transforming it inside of yourself. And that's what I saw in Beverlee. When we met before this interview, and we spoke about what to show you guys, and how to present this approach. And Beverlee asked me, what is the intention of this event? And my intention is first it depends on what kind of level of intention you're asking. The biggest level, probably the widest one, is to expand your map. So to get you acquainted with people who are really not only saying those principles and describing techniques which we love to see, but also the people who you see in real life and communication, which are providing those principles into real life. Because for me, the biggest gift of this work is you can have a chance to be connected with real models, with people you can model, you can follow example, you can advise with in order to build your own map. And I don't know how old you are, but I think in any age, it's important. This is important. And when I saw Beverlee first time, and several first times, and you know my story a little bit. So my husband, which 27 years older than me, he's great therapist, he's an NLP trainer, hypnotherapist, and a great communicator. And he was my teacher first time when I started to follow this work. So when I saw Beverlee, I saw in her communication in different situation in real world, something which is really attracted me. And what was it? It was, first of all, she's really accepting the person. So she's looking positively at person, whatever person would say, she looks positively. Then she would utilize this communication in order to bring win-win decision to everyone in the situation. And she's spontaneous, she's funny, tenderness, fierceness, playfulness. It's always with her. This is one of the main topic of her exploration. And also what I felt really, what was resonating for me, she's really inviting you to explore your humanity. I mean, she's not pretending you have to be perfect or you have to act like that, then everything is going to be all right. She's inviting you to exploration, and she looks positively, and for her it's fun. It's fun, and also it's interesting to change, and this is also my spirit. So I felt those so many things I just mentioned, which were resonated with Beverlee. So Beverlee, welcome very, very well to this. We tried to organize this interview for a year, right?
We've been talking about this for a long time. So yeah, so I feel like you just described so much. The whole interview can be done. Thank you for those descriptions. Yeah, so that's great. That's great. I want to say I feel really seen by what you just said. So I appreciate it. And I want to say to everybody, thank you so much for being here. I feel honored that Oksana asked me to do this. And from the beginning, Oksana and I have had a really warm, I think, generative connection. And you know, so I'm just loving being part of it. And then, you know, and then as I went along, I realized, like, oh my God, and I also have to say something. You know? So I come here to this interview with fun, like for me, this is a fun thing to do. It's a warm thing to do. I feel honored, you know, and I have to say that I spent a lot of time dealing with the part of me that was like, what do I say? What do I say? What do I say? So I bring all of me to this interview with all of you, and I'm really excited to be part of this conversation that I hope in some way will be helpful. So Oksana, do you want me to start talking? Do you want to ask me questions? I really came to this interview in the I don't know mode. I'm going to say one other thing before you start, because you're on mute, Oksana. That Oksana was saying that I studied with some of these great teachers, and I was like, who are all of these great teachers? I kind of didn't even remember all of them. And I went to my website to see the list so I could kind of be inspired by that. And there on the About button, when I pressed on it, there was a Japanese, an ad for buying Japanese dresses. So that part of my website was hacked. And it made me laugh because I thought, well, I guess I go into this not remembering all the teachers that I've been with. So how would you like to start, Judy?
I love this. I love this. It's for me the art of communication, and what I saw in your work and your reactions, and in all different situations. What was attractive for me is your congruency. And I see in you this example for me. Like we are watching, I propose to do this interview in the frame of steps of hero's journey model from Joseph Campbell. Of course, Stephen Gilligan and Robert Dills developed this model with exercises. And the basic one was from Joseph Campbell, which is help us to look at our life paths through all those years. And before we met, we had this our meeting for discussing things. And when you told me that what is an intention for all my work, I mean, if I'm right now I'm 44, and I'm going through my paths. I think I started to come back to my call in terms of hero journey model, to my call when I was 30. And I definitely felt all those steps. I mean, First, you feeling call, you're answering this call, then you went to the threshold, then you meet your guardians and your mentors, then you went through the obstacles, or maybe sometimes it's the same time, or you meet obstacles, then you meet guardians. So you are transforming these obstacles, then you're bringing resources and you bring something to your community. So this kind of archetypal steps from Joseph Campbell, Stephen Gilligan, and Robert Dills are proposing, and I'm really, or in your own steps structure. I'm really interested.
I get it. So you know, it's interesting as you say it, because as you say that, I feel like I've had many calls and many refusals and many answers and many resources. So, you know, when I was a kid, I feel like I had this tenderness towards the world. I feel like I had this this feeling that I wanted us to be able to live together well, and that there was something, you know, not going with the program, that you know, just even in my family, and my family had food, we had money, we had love, we had intelligence, we had a lot of things in the family, but there was always this deep sadness. There was some a very explosive anger from my dad in my family, and so there was always this sense of there's something wrong. And it was the beginning of my training of how to be a coach and a therapist, that, you know, I was trying to figure out what to do, you know. So I think I learned how to be, there's something, you know, Stephen mentioned this workshop series called The Forum, which was started by Werner Erhard. It started as EST, it turned into The Forum. And they talk about how we develop our winning formula in life. And as I was with my family, I really felt like I wanted to do something to help with the pain. That was the beginning. So that was a call. So I learned with my dad's anger how to really watch people, how to know what was going on, how to be really sensitive to the moods, to know when to enter, when not to enter. So this kind of dance with, and this watchfulness about how people are. And I developed humor because I wanted to bring light to my family. And I developed, you know, wisdom because I wanted, and support and understanding because I wanted to help and hold, and all these different things that became a way of being in my life, and a training. That what's interesting in the forum training is that this winning formula that we all develop as we're children, it's useful, except when you use it when it's not appropriate. So I have noticed in my life that I can use all those skills to really be connected to myself and to really help people. I can also use those to hide and to pretend. It's kind of like crash state, giving, understanding, being funny. All those kind of things can happen in either coach state or crash state. And it's really interesting to begin to notice how we use our gifts. Do we use them to hide? Do we use them to connect fully and to help people shift? So I don't know if I have my whole life coded in the hero's journey, but certainly there's been I think about, there's been many, many crashes in my life, and probably 4 major ones where I lost a sense of identity or worthiness or security, and really needed to use whatever resources I could find. And sometimes I was grappling for them to help me reconnect again. I had really, in all those 4 times, that one time it took me 2 years to reconnect, to center, to light, to wisdom, to breathing.
Yeah.
So I have found, so I have studied with really, I moved, well, when I was 15, one of my friends came to me and said, do you want to, my brother's doing something interesting. Do you want to do it? And I said, yes. And I ended up starting to meditate, starting to do transcendental meditation at 15. That's what it was. And it's one of those things that, you know, there's so many things in life I fell into, you know, that it wasn't my plan. So it's also, so for me, so interesting to be open to all parts of life being part of the teaching process. So, you know, so I still now teach meditation, studied with Maharishi. And I feel like I always had a sense that there was something bigger, wider to connect into, and was interested in doing that and interested in helping people do it. Struggling along the way, I'd like to say, often, you know, struggling because, you know, because I'm human. So one of the teachers that I loved was a gentleman named Ram Dass, who was Dr. Richard Alpert, who was one of the original people who studied LSD and you know, it's the possibilities of how it can expand our consciousness and help us connect into that,
Yes.
to our center and field. The biggest thing I got from this wonderful man, who I really suggest, he has things on tape, he has things, you know, that are recorded in all different forms. He had this really lovely way of laughing at his process as he did his life. So he really would teach this beautiful spirituality, this beautiful wisdom, and then he would laugh at all the ways that he really fell short of those ideals. So the next thing I think that so when I studied with Maharishi, one of the things that happened with me that I talk about it when I do the turning self-blame into self-love workshop, is that when I was in a room of 500 people or 1,000 people with Maharishi, and he was saying, oh, isn't it wonderful? And all of these angels are here with us. And I can see all these angels. And I'm sitting there, I was 19 or 20. And my response to that is, oh my God, there's angels in the room and I can't even see them. So instead of being in any miracle or whatever, I was blaming myself for not matching up to this ideal that I had of being this enlightened person.
Yes.
And then I came to California to study. There was another call to that, you know, so, I'll say I could have a million of them. So I'll say one other thing, that I went to school to study early childhood education. And I really had this dream to teach children at a very young age how to connect to themselves and to something larger, and to love themselves. And I really had this idea that I would go around, I teach kids how to meditate, I teach them how to, think, how to have a positive relationship to themselves. Well, when I got out of this program that was the first of its kind in Canada, and the professors were so excited about it, and it took me 5 years to go through this course. And when I came out, no one was having children, and they were firing teachers to, that were tenured instead of hiring newbies that just graduated. So that led me to selling advertising for a radio station. And I say that because, first of all, it was wonderful for a 21, 22-year-old. I was like in designer suits and doing all this stuff. But I did notice that as I went to each client, I was doing business consulting, personal counseling, and selling them advertising time. And at some point, that was another call where I said, why, I'm doing 3 jobs. I'm only getting paid for one, and it's not the one I like the most. So I decided to come to California, and in Montreal, I was a big teacher of all these like on the edge things. And when I came to California, I was with a whole bunch of people who everything that was my strength, they had already been doing it for 10 years, and that was their expertise. And I was like, oh my God. And it was a very hard time for me. That was one of my major crashes where I lost my identity. As that was happening, and I was being very good at comparing myself and judging myself, I also noticed people around me were going. So I found out about Stephen and his company. I found out about NLP, and I started studying them. And I started to notice that a lot of the trainers were kind of saying, look, my life is fabulous. I'm powerful. I'm really resourceful. And if only you spend hundreds of dollars to be in my workshop, you too can have this idyllic, powerful life. And then I would see everybody leaving the workshop feeling really badly about themselves, because it's like they were having all these feelings, all these experiences. So I actually, so I actually learned something that was one of the most important things in my practice, which was to really show people, all of you, to really show people your power, your vulnerability, to really be human. And I kind of lost, so let me just see, I kind of lost where I wanted to go with that. But so I really started this, so it became a really important part of my coaching and my being a person, was to just admit everything. I don't always admit everything, which is the honest admission, because there's still parts of me that I sometimes try and hide. And so but I really work with that now, with tenderness and, fierceness and playfulness, to laugh about when I'm still hiding. I'm still hiding in some cases. So anyways, so that's a piece. I don't know if anything came out of that you'd like to ask more about, but I can keep going. You can ask me questions.
What I love about your exploration always, it's and the explanation, it's the honesty and spontaneous flow that you're creating. And yeah, I love to know everything about your past, but what I can verbalize right now, it's for me, if you would look at Beverlee, which is 20, which you just mentioned, what kind of tips or what kind of advices would you give to her? I mean, of course, of course, it's for us because
of course. Okay, I'll tell you. At 26, there was this man who had worked in Tibet before it was closed and then before it was opened. He had worked doing these readings, and he did a reading for me for what my life, what I was here to learn, what my residue of my past was. And he was only with me for half an hour. And his reading was very, very interesting, I have to say. And when I was walking out the door, he said to me, and by the way, not everybody has to like you. And I was so shocked on so many levels because I was like, first of all, I was like, you know that about me? And then it was like, oh my God, I didn't even know about me that I needed everybody to like me. And then there was, and everybody doesn't need to like me. It was like, that was the other shock. And so it's really about standing for what you care about. So Beverlee, young Beverlee, it's like stand for what you care about, be tender with yourself. Everybody doesn't have to like you. You have to be true to yourself. And I would also say, I've really learned this. So that I have had these great teachers. And what I've learned is that all of life is teaching us, all of life, every single thing in life is teaching us at every moment. So when I'm going on, I said in the beginning, some of you weren't there. I don't know if we were recording, but I said, I went on my website to remember some of the people I had studied with. There have been so many. And the page, I couldn't access the page. And there was some other really funny Japanese ad on my page, on my website, which I will take care of after this interview. But everything is teaching us at every moment, and everything is a resource. One of the things I was thinking about is when I went to work, when I went to see Erickson, one of the books he inscribed in one of the books, your blonde hair helped so-and-so in the session. And I left kind of a little disgruntled, like, how come he just wrote that? Why didn't he write something about who I am or anything like that? And he, I wondered in later years, as I did more of this work, that he wasn't in some way saying everything can lead to everything. Your blonde hair can lead to someone's life changing. And who knows what he really meant, but I prefer to think about it that way. And really the thing, let me see. When I was 18, I was in Greece and I saw somebody cut a sea urchin open. And I looked at that at 18 and I said, that's us as humans. We have these really prickly things, hard spines on the outside. And when you cut us open, we're these tender little mushy things. And I really started to look at people like that. So what I would say to the 20-year-old is breathe, breathe, breathe. trust. Trust yourself, trust, in the native, as one of the people I worked with was a shaman woman. And in the Native American belief system, life is working with you. And I really love that approach. Who knows what truth is? One of the things that I say about myself is that I wake up every day totally committed to finding truth, every day totally knowing that I'll never know truth. But I'm still committed. I'm so committed with joy to that, and humor, because I'm committed to it. I know I will never achieve it. But that is what I'm finding, is the journey to finding truth, journey to finding the truth of me, journey to finding the truth of each moment. And the, the journey to finding what's resonant with the people we work with and helping them find resonance with themselves. That to me is being able to hold them like this, these tender beings that have all these tender little parts inside that are aching to be seen, to be held, to be helped, to be supported, to be able to have some space to transform. So let me see. So there's so many things I would like to say. I would really, it's a frame. I love the idea of life is working with you. There's a woman whose name is Byron Katie, who says that what is God. And if you are at war with what is, you are only going to lose 100% of the time. So it's about embracing what is on the inside, on the outside. It's not easy. It's not easy. I have all these fears and reasons for why I wouldn't do that. But it's just like being willing to be present to what is on all the levels of our being, and to utilize. So this happened to me, utilize it. This is going on inside of me, utilize it. This person needs something. So for me, the shamanic teaching is all about whatever's there. Use it towards something that is good for you, good for the planet, good for your clients. There was something else I wanted to say in that. So again, if you relax into the moment, everything can be there to be your teacher, and the blonde hair can really help somebody.
Wow, that's what I felt. For me, what was amazing about your communication is this curiosity, and also the flexibility, and also the acceptance of whatever has happened when you say about utilization. And for me, it's interesting. What is the base of this wisdom? I mean, how, or you ever, or you don't, when something is happening, when it's contradictory or conflicting, or you don't even think about that, you immediately go to this creative ecological way, or how you proceed this?
That's a really good question, and I don't know yet what my answer is. What I want to say first is, if I was always doing this, I would be this enlightened master. I don't always do it.
That's what we see. That's what the students see.
So let me be very clear. Let me be very clear. And this to me is really an important part of our teaching. Let me be very clear. I'm really great and flexible and dancing and utilizing and being centered and everything until I'm not. And then I'm not. I say this to every client. I teach people about communications. And then I say, look, I don't always do this. All I'll tell you is when I don't do it, it doesn't work. You know, so I go into crash states all the time. As a matter of fact, with this work, something that I'm loving about this work is it's making it simpler and simpler. In my idea about meditating, I thought, you know, you meditate and after years and years, you gain this wisdom. And I feel like Stephen has done a wonderful, wonderful thing at taking a very deep, simple, a huge concept and making it a very easy, very small chunk thing to do. You know, there's crash state and there's coach state. And it's just a way of looking at life. But I find that it's very, very easy now. I'm noticing crash states in places I didn't even notice I was crashed. There's some crash states I've had for so long, I didn't even notice they were there. There's some crash states that are mini crash states that I go in and I get out of. There's some that I told you one of the times it took me 2 years to get out of it. When I get out of it, I'll say this, to grow from it. In my deepest crash state, one of the things I'd like to say is I learned about pain and empathy, and I brought light into the corners, the dark corners of my being that I didn't even know existed. And it helped me. So everything is there to be utilized. I couldn't have utilized, I didn't knowingly utilize anything. I was trying to dig my way out of a hole during that particular time. I was once at a John Grinder workshop, and one of his assistants came over to me. I was young, I was dressed, I had tight white pants and whatever. And he comes over to me and he said, you know, I want you to know that you intimidate the hell out of me. And I said, oh, sweetheart, you don't need to be intimidated by me. I just went through the hardest 2 years of my life. I'm just I'm just like climbing my way out of a hole. I can just barely see the light, or like some sunlight right now. And if we could forgive ourselves for being human, there is an Indian prayer that I love that says, Great Spirit, forgive me for the frailty of my humanness and bless me for the beauty and strength of my spirit. And that's you know, that's a big part of it. So I am not always, you know, if I was always, you know, that is something I would love. If I have any art form, it is being a dancer, and it is doing this work. I think those for me are my two art forms in life where I feel creative and I feel like I can be in this flow. I am not like that all the time. I am that way until I'm not, and then what I work on is being really tender with myself when I'm not in that state, and hold myself and see if I can, like I'm a little girl, you know, be loving to that part of me. And that's what I offer to everybody. Be as loving to yourself as you would be if there was a young child having the same fears or inabilities or angers or sadness or trying to hide. What would you do? One of my teachers was a man who was an ex-boyfriend who had a child. We were out for dinner and his child was tantruming, and he took his child like under his arm like this, and the kid's head was this way and his feet were that way, kicking and kicking and kicking. And my friend was holding him and looking at me with his heart open saying, he's tired. And with love and just with holding him. And I looked at him and I went like, oh, I want someone to do that for me when I'm kicking and screaming. And I do think as coaches, we have the ability to do that. And I do think that that's something we need to do with ourselves. So I would say all of that to my 20-year-old. There's something that I say when I do classes and seminars, and I think I say it because I think I need to hear it. And I really ask people to basically not know. I've asked them that for so many years, to come into my seminar and not know and ask the questions that they think are really silly and that everybody else probably knows the answers to. And so I think that that's something, as relaxed as you can see me, I think that that's something I'm still so learning about, is how can I be silly enough? How can I bring my silliness, my mistakes into the world? Even though in my dissertation, which I have a dissertation that was also turned into a chapter in Michael Yapko's book, talking about Ericksonian hypnosis. And I talk about mistakes, and I talk about them like being on a movie set where there's take one, and it's good, it's okay, it didn't work, whatever. So then you do take two, and then that is whatever it is, and then you take three, and then you take four. And that to me is how I like us to look at the mistakes. And I'm still, I'm convinced, I think we all crave good status in the herd. We crave in the tribe, in the herd, however you look at it. And that it's not easy for us to make mistakes. So I'm always wanting to relax about bringing myself more further into the world. I believe that we all so deeply want to be seen and loved and appreciated, and it's so scary. So all the things that we really deeply crave so much, to be loved, to be seen, to express ourselves, we're all scared, on some level. We crave it. It's like my feet are the most ticklish part of my body, but if someone could like rub my feet in a way that they are not, my nervous system isn't scared, it is the most scrumptious healing thing that I can experience. So it's all about, I think we crave things, we want things, we push them away. In a metaphysical group I was in, we did a whole class on all the different ways we we push away love. And we all had these huge lists of all our techniques for how we all push away love. Oh, so The Courage to Love. Somebody should write a book with that title.
Yeah, really? I know the guy.
You know the guy. I know a guy who knows the guy, right?
Yeah, it's a great book. We fall in love with that, and accidentally one woman in Russia just from our community just proposed to make a translation of that, and then we had a collective who made a translation and proved that Richard went through the whole text and did the pictures, and we have the samizdat version of Courage to Love, and I think this is amazing book, and it needs to be written because it's practical. That's what I like about that.
Yeah,
the practice.
It's a beautiful book.
Beverlee, thank you very much for sharing this part of your past. I'm wondering, do you think there are some kind of general problems which human being would meet on the way? I mean, from the puberty period, from teenage ages until the mature ages, like until 90 or 80. Do you think those all classifications about life paths are true? I mean, when you're going through a certain age, you're going through certain problems, or it's just because of your personal life experience and it's just unfolding, or it's both?
At the same time, both at the same time. Of course, I think, everything makes a difference, the time, your time of life, it's very interesting that how many years difference are you with Richard?
27 years.
Yeah. I went out with a younger man. He was 29 years younger than me. And, we loved each other so much. And he was the only man in my life that matched so many different parts of me, where we both meditated. We had this big spiritual experience together, and we both danced salsa together, and we both, we loved parties, and we loved all these different, so many different levels of life. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, he was at such a different phase of life than I was, so maybe by the time you met Richard, that wasn't so true. I did have a joke with him, by the way, that said, how when you get older, the couple of, when you're in grade school, when you're in elementary school, like a few years make a huge difference. But as you get older, the years don't make so much of a difference. I said, I said to this guy, Corey, that I said, you and I will be able to have that experience when I'm 329 and you're 300. We don't notice the difference in our age. We do have different phases. When a kid is a teenager, I tell parents, this is one of the things I tell parents is you have to consider yourself being the side of a pool. I say that when you're doing laps, you get to the end of the pool and you do a somersault and you kick against the pool, the end of the pool, to go to do your next lap. And so when you're a parent, like, the kids are trying to individuate, you don't know anything because they know everything. I mean, it's a generalization, but some of that is happening in a really healthy way where the child is learning how to separate, how to individuate. But he needs the parent as the side of the pool to be able to kick against, to have that momentum. And if the parent isn't there, the child can't do the same kind of thing. And there's phases. Erik Erikson talked about the different phases of life, and I'm in his last phase of life, which is wisdom versus, oh God, no, I'm forgetting. I always say this all the time. Does anybody know this? It's something like wisdom versus, it's not depression, but it's something like that. So
yeah.
You don't know how often I quote this, but anyways, I just don't have it on the tip of my tongue. but it is like, are you going to choose? What are you going to choose? It is a phase of life. I just turned 70 this year, which is like amazing to me. And it is a different phase of life. It is a different phase of life. My whole life I wanted to change the world, and now I still want to change the world, but like I don't quite have the same energy.
But not that harsh, not that harsh change of the world.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's a possible thing, but it's an inner like, yeah, let's do something. Let's all, I have this inner wish that comes from my child that is like, can't we just all get along? Can't we just all figure this out?
Yes. Why can't we? I mean, what is the matter?
Can't we use our differences? Can't we find that space underneath, that love underneath to hold our differences, and make something from that? It is such an Ericksonian principle, and it's definitely the principle that Stephen has as a base.
Exactly.
And there's a part of me that knew that as a kid, like just having that craving to do that. And so what I love about this community is that we come together with the spirit of, can we make something good happen? Can we help people connect to a deeper sense? Can we embrace the parts of us and the parts of each other that have been neglected and judged and not allowed to be in the world? Can we do that?
Yes.
There was a time Stephen worked with me in front of the group at Transcamp. I don't remember what came up inside of me, but I know that there was a moment where Stephen held a part of me that I didn't even know about, and he held it with the deepest tenderness. I'll say held her with the deepest tenderness that I was like, oh, it was like that holding under the arm. So what I do love, so will we always do that? No. Will we always be able to be tender with ourselves and each other? No. Will we always be able to be fierce and stand for what we value? No. Will we always be able to be playful? No. Just having the intention and working towards that and having that heartfulness, to me is everything. So now, what was your question? Now I feel like I'm a little Stephen Irish.
It's just really amazing, like you're sharing from your heart. I also know this work you've done about self-blaming and transformational paths where people are going through all after all those workshops and going through. Would you like to explain a little bit more, because it's interesting? I think it's interesting to look at this as retrospective, because this is huge business in the planet of Earth. I mean, it is huge business, and I mean, this personal transformation stuff for our generations, our age, which are existing on the earth right now, it's completely different from, for example, when my mom grew up, and when client came to me and started to blame their parents. So parents, they did not do that. How could they do that? And it's a bigger part of that, in my opinion. It's a social situation, right? So my parents, they did not get used to go to the social networks or personal growth workshops or to the coaches. It was not a part of the culture those days. And for me, it's really interesting your way for looking at that, because you chose as dissertation the PhD path to this direction. Could you share a little bit?
Yeah, you bring up, so when you ask me questions, so much is brought up. Yes, our parents did not have the opportunity to have that meta perspective and to be able to have some freedom and some choice. So that's something that I love that we do, is that we have the ability to look at ourselves and life and pry ourselves a little bit from that rigidity of like, this is what's true. Well, I'm just nervous now, and that's just what's true. There's nothing I can do about it. It's just part of who I am. People say that to me a lot in my work. It's just who I am. There's not an understanding that it's a pattern, it's a strategy, it's a habit. It's who I am. And so I think we're really taught a little bit to be victims, I have to say. Like, this happened and it's affected me, and there's like, you made me. It's in our languaging a little bit of blaming ourselves, blaming other people. And I do think that this work can help us be free of that, and to question, a lot of this work is questioning what we hold as reality, as something that's static, an opinion of yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when I talk about, if you're a growing, so self-blame, I'll talk about self-blame. Some people self-blame, some people blame. It's the same process, really, in a way. There's an idealized vision of I'll just talk about it this way, of who we think we should be, could be, or already are, depending on the belief system you're following. And then there's where we are, which is I call it the lesser vision in my dissertation. So, and what we do is we're taking steps to go towards the idealized vision. So it's like, how do you relate to yourself as you're doing that? Do you do it with kindness? Do you do it with curiosity? Do you do it with playfulness? Do you do it with determination and fierceness? And it's in the, we're all learning creative mind. So is, what was I thinking of? We think that there's a there to get to, and there is no there to get to. And at the same time, we're already there, is what I was thinking about today, this morning, because, as Stephen has said, he's just beginning. And I also, by the way, am just relaxing so into the I don't know. I really don't know. And in the I don't know feels like there's so much freedom. When you're talking about our parents, or, my parents, or even another generation than your parents, there was so much needing to know and holding on and attaching to, and this reality. And I hope that we're trying to find some freedom from that, because I do think that's more how we can dance and, make something else happen. And God knows we really could use making something else happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so just to reiterate about the self-blame, we hopefully we're always people that are evolving, and even as you match whatever your idealized vision is, at the end of that, you're going to choose another idealized vision, and you're going to grow up to that. So we're always, it feels a little bit like a caterpillar, so we're always, hopefully, if we're growing, evolving people, we continue to have an idealized vision, something we want to go towards that is not quite where we are now. I even have a part of me that doesn't want to go towards anything. and I still have to do the same thing. I'm still working on that. So, but the biggest thing I really want to say, because we're all doing training and we're all working, that so I really want to say to everybody, be so kind. It is an exploration of life. It's an exploration. If you have an intention to be tender, to stand with your client, and to be purposely playful with how you do it. There is no creativity, I believe, without playfulness, because creativity means you're not knowing and you're bringing things together in a new way. So be kind to yourself, be kind to yourself, be kind to yourself. When we go to a workshop, we learn about ideals that are even bigger than the ideals we originally had for ourselves. So in my class, I talk about before we would burn the toast and maybe blame ourselves for burning the toast. Now there's an opportunity to blame yourself because you're not in coach state enough. So, or you don't know what coach state is really, or you don't have enough resources. I mean, we so want to be successful, and we so want to be respected, and we so want to be loved, that we put this pressure on ourselves to have to be a certain way. So you're learning about coach state. It is really a lifetime exploration. It's exquisite, it's deep. Anything Erickson has said, or Ram Dass has said, or my shaman woman said, or I said, even things I've taught, I so understand it differently as I get older. And still times I don't understand it at all, and I can't connect with it. So please know we are all human, and have some love and humor about it as you continue your journey, hopefully.
Oh.
So I do also want to say something that, well, let me say this. And there's our parents didn't, and your parents didn't, because I definitely know they're different generations, weren't looking at themselves in the same way. But there's also, my parents actually were a little open-minded. When I was younger, as a Jewish young girl, I saw Jesus at the corner of my bed every night. I think it was from a movie I saw that he was there. It was only when I came to California when I was 26, where someone asked me, well, what did he say? And I was like, oh my God, I too knew I could ask him a question. But, California. But so I went to these, I went to psychiatrists 2 times when I was a kid, and they were so bad. They were so bad. One of them was just looking out the window. I was sitting there at 8 years old, Freudian. I was 8 years old thinking, wow, he really can't connect, and he doesn't even seem like he's listening to me. I wonder if he had a fight with his wife this morning. And then the other one I went to when I was 16, everything he did was trying to see if I was sexually confused or messed up in some way. And I could get it in each of his questions. So at 16, I said to him, listen, obviously you're trying to find out if I'm sexually, unhealthy in some kind of way. I said, I'm 16. I've made out with a guy. It was fine. I don't know anything else. I don't know if I'm sexually messed up. Could we just assume that I am and get on with something else? That was the level of therapy and looking at things. And so look at how much we've evolved. Look at how much Stephen's work has really evolved from that. It's really spectacular.
Mm. Mm.
So it's also the quality of the exploration that really matters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if you have some kind of strategy when you're stuck or the situation is overwhelming. Is there some kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps what you're doing, or when you come into the problem context, you already prepared and you just start to creatively explore different variant of behavior.
Tell me the context again that we're talking about.
Something problem. When your brain would perceive it as a threat or as a problem, or other people would describe it as a problem. Not in the coach, of course, not in the coach state, because we all, when we're consulting or making coach, we all helping people and we're on those roles, but in the external world.
Boy, when I have when I'm doing things well, I'm doing things well. And when I'm not, there's so many different levels of that. There's the simple level of like breathing and communicating, let's say, to another person. That could be a first swipe of how to do it. There's times I'm so crashed that I use every tool known to man. Those moments. I meditate. I do CM processes. That is, I call in anything. I can lie on the earth. I can go for walks in nature. I can, just this module. I found a part of me that I never paid attention to, that I'm still exploring. But just even being open to knowing, hey, to welcoming in what's going on with me right now. What part of me is scared or angry or whatever I am. This particular time is what part of me is like so scared, and just, creating a home for that part, or doing that tetra lama thing is a great technique. Or
yes,
dancing. Something I really want to say is one of my teachers 100 years ago was Gabriel Roth, who does the 5 rhythms.
Wow.
And I got to study with her. And something she said, by the way, that I loved, that Stephen teaches, but I was the first time I had heard it, 30, 40 years ago, whenever it was, I worked with her, was why be judgmental when you could just be curious? That was her statement. But I've learned so many things about her dancing with something that's going on. At first I thought, oh, this is really great. It's another technique. And now I'm really realizing that how important movement is. It is through Stephen's work. I have to say, I'm really getting in a deeper level. Wow, when we're stuck, it really usually is that we're not moving. Mm-hmm. And she has CDs. I'm sure there's another way of getting them. I'm old school, have CDs of her music. She has a book, Maps to Ecstasy. If you haven't been exposed to it, it's not a difficult technique, but it's so wonderful. All different ways to move through a problem that you have. And it is so well, it so well joins this work that we're doing here. And that's something. So sometimes it's about putting on music and dancing it. And but the biggest thing that I think makes a difference for me is breathing, holding, connecting to a bigger space, and not pushing the river. Like, not, okay, well, what's your positive intention? Okay, well, it's really like, and same with clients. It's not like, okay, when I first started to do this work, it was with Stephen's partners. And this one guy in the group gave me feedback and said something like, which has stuck with me for 44 years. I wish you didn't, I don't know how he said it, but it's something like, I wish you didn't work through things as quickly as you do. Because I was always kind of going for, oh, let's heal it. Let's give it resources. And it was almost an attack of positivity. So
attack of positivity. I love that.
So, it's about really being willing to be with different parts of me when I'm stuck, and being really having a deep, sweet holding and curiosity of, the questions that Stephen has taught in this course of, who are you? What do you want what do you need? How can you move? What can I offer you? Who else can be here as a resource? For me also, another thing that's been important in my work and work with other people is creating space. I feel like our parts need space to unfurl and unfold, and time. A lot of us have aspects of ourselves that have been hurt or have been scared, and if you just come in and go, oh, I love you, and now you can just, I welcome you, and so now you can just change, and really respecting some time that it can take for that part of you to find out, is this trustworthy? Is this safe? You're saying it's safe. Is it safe? And so I often will speak to people about taking their time and testing this, trying it out for a week or two. to see if there's an opening for opening. Is there an opening for opening? Is there an opening for healing and joining? But I'm going to tell you this. It used to be that I used to really, well, I at least had a thought that I cared about knowing what worked for me. I wanted to be scientific. So this is what's going on. Is this going to work for me? And then I thought, I don't care. I don't give a shit. I just want to help myself as fast as I can help myself. So quickly, slowly, tenderly, and sticking with it. So one time I was doing trance work with myself, and the next thing I knew, I was in front of the refrigerator looking for food. And I noticed that also with clients is that, part of my fierceness is, when they move away from their part, when they move away from tenderness, is like, no, stay here, stay with it. So it's staying with myself. So I use everything. And I suggest, there's so many, as like Stephen was saying, in this process, it's like, look how this person does this and look how this person does this. There's so many different ways to drop into the field or drop into coach state, drop into your center. It's good to have for me, it's good to have a large menu of options. I do call myself the queen of options, so it might just be my own personal style.
I love that. Queen of options. I think what I love about your, not only that, but what I want to emphasize right now, what I like about your explaining and exploration is the likeness and the love to people, to love to life you're spreading to around you. And it's, for me, it's really interesting. How did you keep it through all your life paths, and how did you keep this positivity and the love to life and to people, when always, so many things are going around right now, and I'm sure when you grew up and went through all those different stages, socially and personally, what is the source of joy, or what is the source of positivity inside, which we all want to touch?
That's great. That's a great question. It's such a, I don't know if I know the answer. I am really going to search it with you. I'm going to start by saying that, first of all, in my family, I felt this. My grandfather killed himself when my mother was 16, and I was born when my mother was in her 30s. So it's not like I had a direct connection to that, but man, it was just my grandmother. It was, there was no picture of my grandfather. There was no conversation about him. It took me a very long time to find out that he killed himself. And I know this isn't the conversation about joy, but it is part of it,
It is the base. It is the base which is grew up. I think it's really important.
And so I a little bit, my aliveness was not okay, because it meant I wasn't with my family. It kind of meant, and I it's interesting that you bring it up, because I feel the same way with what's happening now with Ukraine and Russia, and Yeah, the joy is definitely, so in my family, I'll go back to that for a second. In my family, I used to almost hide my joy because it felt like I was being disloyal to my family if I was joyful. I'd almost be joyful outside of the family. And oh, but what is the base of it? Oh my God. You know, I don't know. I don't know if I would know how to have the seeds of it. I think the seeds of it is connection. I did a course about, I do a course about spirituality. It's time to wake up. And something I do to do my courses often is I don't prepare them until just right before them. But in this particular case, I would commit to doing a course like 6 months before, and then I would do it. And then I knew, because of my commitment, my unconscious mind was working on it the whole time for 6 months. And then I would just sit down and write it like a day before, 2 days before. But with this, I did this with this seminar. With this seminar, I was thinking, wait a second, I built my whole life around spirituality, and I want to meet a man who's spiritual, and I want to move to California to be on the edge of exploring consciousness and spirituality. But what is spirituality? I had my whole life organized around it. And then I just realized it was really about connection. It was really about, connection to something greater, connection to myself, connection, to nature, connection to another person, connection to something I read in a book. It was all about connection. And the other day I was with people and I was noticing dogs. I actually think it might have been at Stephen's daughter Zoe's wedding shower. But I know, interestingly, I noticed dogs. There were a whole bunch of people and some dogs, and I noticed dogs noticing dogs. And I was going like, wow, how is it that they really know it's another dog? That like the people were nothing, right? But, oh, a dog. And then I realized I'm a little bit like that with people. Oh, a person, oh, a person. So, I think it's a way. I think it's just when I have naturally connected to, as Stephen says, something that is beyond the day-to-day, but also holding each. So how do I do it though? I'm going to say these words, and then then I will see if I can explore it a little more deeply.
Mm-hmm.
In the shaman work, as I kind of alluded to before, I'm starting to notice that every single moment, every single thing in life, every single thing that happens, that I think Erickson and I think Stephen know a lot about, is a teacher, is utilizable, is there to be sacred. My shaman teacher used to say, nobody's special, no event is special, and nothing is special, and everything is sacred. And that is something that I'm learning about, kind of honoring everything that happens. Some things I like, some things I don't like. And I think it's okay to like or not like and still honor something, I also marry people. I officiate weddings. And in the weddings, one of the things I always say is that if you have issues, and everybody has issues, They will come up in your relationship. And your commitment and your job is to always walk through the fires back to love.
Wow. Wow.
And I think that might be what I do. Because I've definitely been in darkness in my life. I've definitely been in darkness. I've had a great life. I've had a blessed life. I have met the most incredible people. I've met Martin Luther King. I have met Jimi Hendrix. I have met people that are so connected to what they do and their commitment and to wisdom. And I have met with such darkness in my life, you know, starting with my grandfather's suicide, starting with my sister, who was my closest friend and life adventure partner, to becoming schizophrenic, to, you know, to being attacked by somebody, to be, you know, so many, to being totally heartbroken and to being betrayed and being all those kind of things. So I'm just gonna go in for one more second to see what I do with that. I think part of what makes me go through the fires, one part of it is I just can't stand just the pain. So I'm really actively looking for something else. And then I think I can sometimes remember, like Leonard Cohen says something like, oh, what does he say? I'm forgetting the thing, but you know, when something is cracked, the crack is what lets the light in, you know? So when I felt cracked, you know, I think there's always like a little bit of light that also comes in. So I think part of what has me go towards aliveness is, you know, what are my alternatives? You know, and part of it is just remembering the beauty and that connection that is under and around and through everything, you know. So I have to say, you know, I think I think from being a little kid, I knew that there was a light that I wanted to bring into the world. And sometimes in myself, I'd like to say this too, sometimes I feel like I brought the light into the world and I didn't remember that I was also to receive the light and to to relish it before I gave it out as my job. You know, that, you know, I'm not at all a religious person and don't read the Bible, but or have read the Bible, but it's not something I work with very much. But I did hear the phrase inside me when I was realizing something about this, that I'm one of God's children too. Like I deserve some of the care. I deserve some of the attention. To be nourished by the light that I choose to give to others. But it's not easy. There's times I've really fought for it. There was one time I couldn't teach anymore because the light or the aliveness was a concept. It was an intellectual concept. I didn't have a somatic sense of it at all, and I did everything to fight to find it again.
Mm.
I don't know, does that, but the biggest thing is that somewhere that aliveness is, I want to see if there's anything else there that I'd like to say. I don't know. I think I will say this. Let me say this too, that when I was meditating and I went with a whole bunch of people that were learning how to teach meditation, I was really surprised that a lot of the people really didn't want to live. They were there learning about meditation so that they could not ever, with the belief of reincarnation, and they just wanted to learn how to be enlightened so they never had to come back here and explore any of this life anytime. And there is, I just feel so grateful to be alive, and I feel so grateful to be in this life, and it's not always going. One of the things I would like to say that is really important for me is I recognize that life doesn't always go the way I think it should or I want it to. And I say that to clients all the time. It's unlikely that life is going to go the way that you think that you want it to go a lot of the time. And so then how do you utilize it? What do you do with that? But there's so much beauty, all the people just like, meeting. So you were asking me about my story. And one of the things I realize is that everybody has such an amazing story. And I've started to introduce, even with my friends I've known for years, they have such a rich life story. Everybody has such a rich life story. And I've started to, I came up with this during COVID, so I haven't done it that much, but I've already talked to friends saying, I would just love to have dinners where we really share all the parts of our life that we haven't shared. We just assume we know each other. But we've all been through so much,
Yeah.
So much great and so much not great. And I think there's still some other answer to this question, and I don't know what it is yet, of how do I keep the aliveness, because I do feel alive and I cherish that. And trust me, everyone, I can feel really dead. And there are parts of me that are like dead, that I'm like, hey, hey, I'll hold you, and dead, I work with them. I'm patient with them. I hold them, I offer things to those parts of me.
Wow. Beverlee, I want to ask, provocational, is it a word in English? Provocational. Provocative. You always understand my English. That's what I like. like my husband. So do you think there is a time in life when you went through the workshop, do exercises? I mean, maybe it will be in 10 years where you will never have a problems. I know the answer, but I want to hear from you. I just remember when it was my first workshop, and I went through. It was amazing, and we did a lot of techniques and everything, a lot of changes. And I thought, okay, just one more, and I will change relationships with my mother forever. And then one more, I will change this one forever. And then I understand. So could you comment on that?
This is the story I told Stephen recently at a lunch. I've told my small group, when I was 26, I have a cleaning lady here who's on the other side, who's playing music so loud. I'm either going to utilize it or I'm going to knock on the door thing. Anyway, so when I was 26, I came to, you know what, I actually, I know this is not exactly appropriate, but if you can just speak for a moment, I'm going to ask the woman if she will lower the music. Are you willing to do that, Oksana?
Sure. By the way, we don't hear much music, at least
no,
me.
I know, but I'm hearing it and I can utilize it, but I just don't even want the other interview and the other influence. And if I can, sweetly change it, I'd be glad to.
Yeah, sure.
Very quick.
So we just will take a look at our chat for a moment. And I see several messages, and the first one is from Suzanne. Thank you, Beverlee and Oksana, for this conversation, many insights and integrating my field. Thank you, Suzanne. I feel the same. Then Stella wrote, thank you for sharing. Thank you, Stella. Nice to have you with us. And then Kasha wrote, ring the bells so that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack is in everything. That's now the light gets in. Thank you, Kasha.
Thank you. Thank you. I love Leonard Cohen. He's a good Jewish boy from Montreal, where I'm from. And he gave my sister a ride home from the airport. And Stephen and I have gone to a Leonard Cohen concert together, which was my favorite. So I'm sorry. So I'm back. So that is an experience in life of, I could have either, utilized it or, and been with it. And I also knew there was a solution for it, and I opted for the solution. So the solution was to ask if she could lower the music. So that is a part of it. So I'm sorry. So I'll get back to when I was 26, I came to California. I knew about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I thought I was like 2 minutes away from self-actualization. I thought I had these 2 patterns. If only I worked on these 2 patterns, then surely I'll be totally self-actualized. And, I just turned 70 this year. And what I have playfully said, there's a child song in North America that goes, the bear went over the mountain, the bear went over the mountain, the bear went over the mountain to see what he could see. He saw another mountain, he saw another mountain. So, and that to me is my growth process. That's it. So it's that same thing as every day looking for truth and knowing I can't find, that I won't, how will I ever know all of the universe's truths? But it's still so amazing to be on that journey. And in the same way, I am working on being free. I am helping clients work on being free, loving themselves, connecting with themselves, connecting with something larger. And it all comes from, by the way, my wanting my family to be okay, my wanting the world to be okay. I still have that little kid. I'm still the 5-year-old that's still trying to have something good happen.
Oh, I see her. I see her. Please tell her big love from me. That's what I saw from the very first day, I think.
That's so great. Thank you. So just as a final sentence with that is that, so please just, the idea is, so there's another mountain. So how are we going to relate to this whole learning how to be a coach, learning how to be more connected, more free? We have to be tender and have fun with it. We just have to be sweet and loving and enjoy it and have some humor. So there's this other guy, there's another guy named Ashley Brilliant who has these little quips of all these funny things about his humanness when he's trying to be enlightened. So let's just be sweet with ourselves and laugh with ourselves and do our best, so you're never going to be this total enlightened master your whole life. But really having a commitment to do the best that with what you have, to utilize everything you have with a useful, purposeful intention, and have fun and be so forgiving and tender with yourself is my my offering.
Mm. Wow. Thank you.
You're so welcome. This is to me such a special, special community. And I, like, for me, something I was even saying with the team leaders is that it's really important that we have community, and that we can have people that we can be with on this really deep and opening level, and creative and accepting and going forward together. And there's something that's really important to me, that we're doing it from all over the world.
Yeah.
I was saying that if I just had this community, and it would be great if it was just in San Diego, it would be really great. And it wouldn't have the same feel. The fact that we're all connecting on such a deep level in so many places in the world feels, to me, in my heart, in my belly, what is needed, what is healing, what has the possibility of touching the darkness that exists now, and hopefully bringing some honor and aliveness and connection and heartfulness to this crazy, crazy stuff that's happening. I really hope that we can all share a minute or two to just send out prayers and love and support for, you know, for something to be woven out of some insanity, and some hopefulness, and prayers, and aliveness. It's like, how do we stay alive and hopeful, to keep a hopeful image, you know, and you know, again, this came up with a lunch with Stephen, where I was saying that I need to keep hopeful, and I need to keep committing to doing what I can, and to bringing the light into the world that I can. Mm-hmm. And so for myself, for my clients, for the community, for the world. And so I'm inviting us all to, with everything we have, with the pain and the strength and our own aliveness. You know, I want to say this. So every single person here has started from a single cell little life form. We have been through ice ages. We have been through droughts. We have been through one caveman killing another caveman for mastodon. We have been through disease, plague. We have been through wars and betrayals. We've been through think about it. Every single person you have ever seen exists because of all the things that each iteration of life form has been through. And everyone you see is so resilient and powerful, and such a winner, such a a survivor and a thriver. Think about it. Think about the resources that we have from our ancestors. And maybe that's where the aliveness also comes from. So just bringing that innate life force that we all have inside of us to like a flame. Hopefully we can protect that, and we can fan that and bring it into the world, because it really, I mean, this is such a cliche, but it really does take a little flame to light up a darkened room, you know. And so so let's just bring together everything, all of it, all of what's going on in the human race and inside of ourselves, and find our liveliness, and with the commitment to bring that forward into the world and do what we can.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm subscribing and completely into your words and supporting them.
Thank you, sweetie. Thank you so much. This has been really fun. I had no idea what was going to say, what was going to come up. And I feel so honored to be part of this really community conversation. And, you know, I just have such huge support for us bringing ourselves out into the world in the best way that we can, because we and Stephen's just said this in the closing, that we just need it so much right now. Yeah. You know, I want to say that for years, when I first started studying with Stephen, you know, there was this NLP track, and then Stephen and his partners, and I was like, oh, I resonate more with Stephen and his partners, and I'll be a trainer and I'll do his work and I'll teach his work. And, you know, because I just assumed that he would do what the other NLP people did, and he never did. I was like, oh, that was my vision of what your life was going to be about. But and now I just got my certificate as a trainer for his work, you know, like 40,
congratulations.
45 years later, 45. That's funny.
Beverlee, thank you so much for being with us on this very interesting and honest and heart-from conversation. For me, it's really important that you shared from your heart with your wisdom, because people are coming through the same life path, the same meta structure of a journey. I mean, we all want to find something really close to us, something warm. We all like to have good relationships, support. And when I heard your answers, I felt and I heard a lot of resonance with my map, and also the hope. The hope, and I would say the hope is in simplicity, is inside, and it's how banal it would not sound, in the positive attitude. I mean, in the acceptance, whatever is happening, and utilization. And I'm very grateful you came and you share. We wanted to do this interview a year ago, I guess.
That's right. Who knows what it would have been a year ago? Probably would have been entirely different. Who knows? It's great. It's great. It feels, you know, it is interesting. You know, that's the thing that I think is really important to share. We all have our experiences, so let's share them. We don't have to all reinvent the wheel. Let's help each other to make a difference in our lives and in the world. Let's help each other with all of our experiences. So
and I have to, and I have to, I'm sorry, I obliged to, after this inspirational conversation, I just obliged to ask, what kind of offerings you have? Are you offering coach sessions, or maybe you're going upcoming workshop, or whatever you have upcoming? Just tell us, please.
That's great. No, that's great. That's really wonderful. I certainly, I am actually loving working on Zoom, and I'm loving being able to work with people all over the world. And since COVID, honestly, I'm working with people on Zoom, even that live in San Diego. So I'm certainly offering coach sessions. One thing that you asked that we haven't talked about at all in this thing, I do a lot of couple counseling, which I love. It's one of my favorite things to do.
The relationships inside of couple, the marital relationships, or
that's right. Well, marital or non-marital.
Yeah.
And also I work with, now I'm, just tonight I'm working with a mother and daughter, just the relationship issues and healing and learning and communications. And I've been so busy this year. I haven't had the quiet to really come up with the things that I do want to offer. One of the things that I may offer is just a series of things like, self-blame, turning self-blame into self-love, different ways of accessing coach states or the field, working with relationships, getting your personal and professional relationships to work, things like that. Following your passions, following your bliss. Those are seminars, but that I offer, and I thought about offering it as a series. So I will in the next month come up with things that I am offering to the community. I'm very interested in sharing and
also shamanic work.
Oh, thank you, Elena.
Elena, yeah. Beverlee, we will really wait for more information, and I think it's really great. First of all, I'm very grateful you've been through this course and through CM 2020 as a team leader, and sharing your wisdom and organize the space. And also, as well as personally, I'm happy that I met you in my life path, because you are, for me, is a very great example, and I like you very much. I love you. So I hope it's not last interaction, last interview we have, and I'm just thank you for bringing your light into the world for all those years.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, and for all of you being a part of it, and being a listening and a sharing of this. I really so appreciate it, and would love to hear all of your stories as well. So I know I could learn a lot from each and every one of you. So thank you, Oksana. You've done an amazing thing these whole 2 years. I have such appreciation and honor for who you are as a person and an organizer and a committed person who makes things happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for being
Thank
part
you.
of this.
Thank
I
you
so
so much.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being with
Thank
us.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, I'm from Ottawa. You're originally from Montreal?